We're on there. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the committee meetings, July 5th, 2022. I'd like to welcome Deputy Mayor McColman and all of my fellow councillors. And we have our acting CAO, JP DeRosier, filling in tonight. And around the corner there, we have, no, on this side, Kristen Dunsford. She's our Director of Finance, but she's also running the controls tonight for Brian Harlick, who's out. And we have our police chief, Dave Poirier, with us, and our engineer from Technical Services, Aaron McDonald and Linda Stevenson. And members of the public, welcome. And we also have viewers on YouTube. We're live on YouTube, we understand, and welcome Colin McLean and other members of the media watching on YouTube and members of the public. So, the first item on the agenda is community services. And we have a special presentation to make, and maybe I'd ask the chair plus the councillor for that ward. We have Lana Fraser was with us for nearly 10 years in the community services department. And and sorry, yes, I get right. I get my trifocals adjusted here, but what? Yeah. But anyway, been a great employee for many years, and we'd like to make a presentation to you in appreciation of your many years of service with community services. So maybe if Councillor Snow and maybe the councillor for that area would come forward. I believe Bruce is your councillor, Lana?
Have I ever?
What?
Have I ever?
Is he ever? My boyfriend.
You got me on speed dial.
You're right, I do.
And maybe Gary as chair of Zoom. Everybody say ADL cheese because it's made in Somerset.
Sex is better.
Anyway, congratulations and thank you very much for your many years of great service.
Thank you.
Say a few words before.
Congratulations.
And if any councillors want to say a couple of words.
I'll just quickly,
Thank you again.
yeah, Lana, thank you so much. I know I've stopped a couple times when you guys were out and about and doing an amazing job. And I know our residents appreciate it as well as our visitors, that you guys definitely kept things top notch. And I know that you took great pride in your work. So thank you again. We really appreciate it. Enjoy your retirement.
Okay, any other councillors got any comments? If not, we'll continue on.
I'll just do a very quick one because I know Lana from a very young little girl. Shh. Anyway, all I can say is that enjoy your retirement. Thank you, as Councillor Carey said, for everything you've done. And I just remember seeing you all around the flower beds and the different parks and whatever. So just have always appreciated the efforts that you and that team members did. So enjoy retirement. And your husband there with you. Enjoy.
Thank you, Councillor Ramsey.
And Lana's a relative of mine. And anyway, Lana, thank you very, very much for all you've done for the city of Summerside and also all that you do for the kids at Christmas time. And I'm always there with Chief to collect the hockey sticks and all the toys that you bring for the children. And you're just a kind person. And congratulations on your retirement and enjoy your special evening tonight from Councillor Snow.
Thank you. Councillor Campbell, you have your red light on.
I just want to make one comment, and that is to let you know how lucky you are to have a boy from Kensington.
I would answer that.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Bruce, Councillor McDougall.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Stewart, and congratulations, Lana. No, I want to thank you, Lana. It just, you know, when you were working here, you were always working. That truck was always stopped. We're you know, with the flowers and whether you were planting them or watering them, there was always people and you know the ones that are working there even today are always like that, and they're doing a great job keeping this city beautiful the way it is. And I want to thank you for that part of it. So congratulations and enjoy your retirement. Take it easy, and Lauren. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll continue on with the agenda. You folks are welcome to stay for some of the meeting or all of the meeting if you want, but it's a nice summer night, so feel free to stay or leave, whatever you're comfortable with. And we'll continue on with Community Services, Councillor Snow.
Thank you, Your Worship. The only other item on the agenda for Community Services is Billy Bridges Park. So basically, this is just going to be an update. As council, we all received the emails that went around a few weeks ago, just to sort of, for information purposes, the Billy Bridges Park is considered an accessible park in the city, and we installed a product on the playground that hasn't performed the way we as a city and community services staff had hoped it would. Our community services staff worked really hard and with the supplier to do all the recommendations that they put forward to us to make sure that it did perform to the best of its ability. Unfortunately, it still, in our opinion, did meet up the standards that we would like to see as a city. So recently through CAO and our city council and mayor, we went and got some quotes on replacing the current floor covering with a rubberized playground that would be considered more accessible. It might not solve every issue for everybody, but it definitely will be an improvement over what we currently have. As a community services department, we're very pleased to be able to do this for those in need in our city that have accessible issues, and will be able to better utilize Billy Bridges Park. I know many residents with youth in wheelchairs and accessible issues have reached out to city staff either through social media or to councillors to discuss, and we're just happy that we're able to provide this opportunity to move forward and rectify an issue.
So, I didn't see any other lights on, so it's ordered. Do we have, maybe I mentioned, I didn't pick it up, do you have an ETA, estimate time of arrival?
Not that I know of yet. The hope is that it is ordered, and the hope is that it'll arrive and be installed by summer's end for sure. Supply chains around the world are off, but that is for sure the hope right now, is that we will have it in, but it is definitely ordered, and as soon as it's in, we'll be getting it installed.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the chair?
I just have one question, Councillor Corey. With regards to the materials, I know that there was some discussion because when that was budgeted for, we thought that material was going to work. So has there been any assessment done by the original suppliers, or has there been any type of, not a refund, but you know what I'm trying to say, replacement value given for improving?
So we, as community staff, our community services department did reach out to the supplier. The supplier stands behind their product. It's considered to be an accessible product in North America. And our plan is to reutilize that in other existing parks, because it is a good product in some ways. It just doesn't perform to the standard that we would like to see at Billy Bridges Park with the accessible playground. So that's why we're upgrading, but that material will not go unused for sure.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. And the only reason why I was asking is because I'm just thinking of a domino effect where other playground areas, people might see something that they don't think is suitable or whatever, it starts a domino. But if that's help being covered or utilized somewhere else, that's good.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's important to note that Billy Bridges Park and our community services staff, prior to us coming on council, really pushed to have an accessible park in our city. Really did a lot of the legwork, and this material was advertised and sold as an accessible material, and in some ways it probably is, or it is considered. It just doesn't meet the standard that we would like to see as a city, so it's considered an upgrade, and we're looking to move forward and provide a great experience for everybody using Billy Bridges Park.
That's great.
So, two other lights on here.
I think that back a few years ago, there were concerns about that, and we talked about that, you know, trying to replace it or do something with it. I just think it's a very low grade, and it would be great for somewhere else, like you say, Councillor Snow, but when, you know, the pictures that were on social media of that little girl just struggling so desperately to get across in that wheelchair, like, it really opened my eyes very wide. So I'm really happy to see that we're moving forward on this, and I'd like to thank Community Services and Councillor Snow for their work on that.
No, just a question. In my ward, we have a playground in Athena that had a similar, did it turn out a little better?
I can't speak to that, Greg. I'm not aware of Athena's playground and what they've done or have used, so I just don't want to speak to it just because I strictly do not know. So if there's nothing else, that's the update, and as time frames come out, we'll definitely update the public on installs, etc., and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Councillor Snow, for the Community Services. We'll continue on. Councillor McFeely, Planning Board. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Your Worship, and with that, we will call the July 5th meeting of Planning Board to order and ask for a motion for approval of the agenda. Moved by Councillor Ramsey, seconded by Councillor Adams. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. So we'll move into the agenda just for the public's purpose, I guess, and those listening. The voting members of Planning Board are Councillor Ramsey, Councillor Adams, the Mayor, and myself. And certainly we, as always, welcome and encourage the participation of other councillors. But when it comes to the vote, those are the folks who will vote on topics. So with that, number 3 on the agenda, the recommendation of 197 Cambridge Street, zoning amendment. And the recommendation, the supporting explanation, the purpose of the zoning amendment is to allow an apartment building. The applicant is proposing to convert the existing building from a single-family dwelling with a secondary suite to 5-unit apartment building, in hopes to complete the necessary work to build to the building within the next 3 months. Apartment building means a building containing more than 2 dwelling units except a row house or townhouse as defined in this bylaw. Background. An application was received from Andrew and Claire Carr for PID number 315267, made up of 2 parcels of land to amend the zoning bylaw from medium density residential R3 zone to high-density residential R4 zone. The public meeting was held on June 23rd, 2022, and council gave first reading on the same date, and there's a map there showing the subject property in the corner of Granville and Cambridge Street. And then there's a couple of drawings, a couple of diagrams there showing the proposed layout on the main floor and the second floor. And the report under section 5.7 of the zoning bylaw, when planning board reviews the zoning bylaw amendment, it considers the following general criteria as applicable. Under section 8.4 of the Parks and Green Space Plan, the criteria of B, C, E, G, and H must be considered. A, conformity with all requirements of this bylaw. Staff comment, the proposed apartment use conforms with this bylaw. B, conformity with the official plan. Staff comment, the rezoning conforms to the official plan as the property is designated as residential land use on the future land use plan. Council must consider section 5.2.2, location of high density housing. The amendment has to impact on the Parks and Green Space Plan. So 5.2.2, the location of high-density housing. This is from our official plan. Council's intentions about locating high-density housing are important to residents concerned with potential location of row houses and apartment buildings into their predominantly low-density neighborhoods. To help allay these concerns, Council lays out specific policies below on where they may allow future high-density housing, some of which elaborate on their foregoing policies for special planning and development areas. So location criteria. Council's criteria for locating high-density housing in Summerside include the desirability of infilling properties which are already partly developed for higher density housing, the desirability of locating high-density housing close to jobs, community facilities and services, and of promoting pedestrian access, opportunities for maximizing the number of opportunities for scenic views through higher density and taller residential buildings, but with protection of adequate view planes, benefits of locating higher density housing in difficult to service areas so they can help distribute the expensive development costs among more users, opportunities for innovative mixes of higher density housing with other residential developments in CDAs, opportunities for recycling older non-heritage residential properties with higher density development, opportunities for apartments in residential and commercial use buildings, avoidance of negative economic and physical impact on surrounding land uses, whether existing or proposed. So the objective in the official plan is to encourage high-density housing in specific areas, and the policies that council has agreed to and pertinent to this one are 5 and 6. So I'll read those into the record. Rezoning in areas presently designated for medium-density R3 zone residential use, and 6 areas immediately north of the downtown divided as Notre Dame Street to the north and Granville Street to the east, Heather Moyse Drive to the south, and Duke Street to the west, subject to no harmful impacts on local heritage housing. And this particular address would fall in that area. And D, not in there, we're good. C, where are we here? Suitability of this site for proposed development. Staff comment, this site is comprised of 2 parcels and is suitable for high-density residential land use. Existing public street network and municipal services are available on Cambridge Street for this development. Compatibility of the proposed development with surrounding land uses, including both existing and projected uses. Staff comment, the subject property abuts 2 uses. The land use to the immediate east, north, and south are zoned R3. The land use to the west is zoned institutional. That's the Wyatt Heritage Properties and the Fergie Cultural Center. The rezoning from R3 to the proposed R4 would be compatible with the surrounding properties. And again, there's a map showing the subject property. E, any comments from residents or other interested persons? Staff comment, a public meeting was held on June 23rd, 2022. The public meeting notice was advertised in the June 9th edition of The Guardian. 45 letters were mailed to 30 property owners. Claire Carr provided a brief overview of the purpose of the rezoning and noted the demand for housing in the city. F, adequacy of existing water, sewer, road, storm sewer, and electrical services, city parking and parkland for accommodating development and any projected infrastructure requirements. Staff comment, the city's water supply and sewer treatment system can handle the additional loading created by the change in zoning from R3 to R4 for this small property. Cambridge Street is a local city street with a sidewalk that runs east to west from Granville Street to Russell Street. The development will access directly onto Cambridge Street. No internal access road is required for this development. The existing access meets commercial width, and no further widening of the existing access will be approved. This development's existing parking area drains to the city's storm system and meets city requirements. The change in zoning from R3 to R4 will not require the developer to make any changes to their existing storm drainage. There is adequate parking for the development located on site. Adequate power is available to support 5 units in this location. There are limitations due to location and power line availability that may impact the owner's construction design. The city may have some units in stock that may be sufficient for this 5-unit. Developer must discuss with Summerside Electric prior to construction. A load calculation will be required from the developer for their planned design. There are no parkland requirements for this development as there is no subdivision of land. Local parks in the area, Vetton Memorial Park and Queenie Park, are within 150 meters and 450 meters respectively. These parks are accessible by street sidewalk network and it can accommodate this development. G, impacts from the development on pedestrian vehicular access and safety and on public safety generally. Staff comment, based on the additional daily volume of approximately 16 vehicles per day, the new development will add approximately 0.32% of additional traffic flow to Cambridge Street. See the calculations attached to this report. The total traffic volume of this development and the existing development is approximately 2.9% of the street's available capacity. There is an existing sidewalk for pedestrian access to the north side on the north side of Cambridge Street. H, compatibility of the development with environmental, scenic, and heritage resources. Staff comment there are no compatibility issues regarding environmental, scenic, or heritage resources. Impact on city's finances and budgets, not applicable. Other matters as specified by this bylaw, not applicable. Other matters as considered relevant. Staff comment, the applicant will be subject to all building bylaw and code requirements as a result in change of building use, from single-family dwelling with a secondary suite to a 5-unit apartment building. The applicant is not planning to make any additional or additions to the existing buildings. So the staff review, city staff supports the proposed zoning amendment to rezone from R3 to R4. As per section 5.10, subsection B3 of the zoning bylaw, the planning board shall make a recommendation to council on this application before it is approved or denied. The planning board recommendation, whether carried or defeated, will be brought forward for council for a final decision. So the planning board recommendation, the application received from Andrew and Claire Carr for PID number 315267 to amend the zoning bylaw from medium density residential R3 zone to high density residential R4 zone be recommended to be approved by council. We can have a mover and a seconder, moved by Councillor Adams, seconded by Councillor Ramsey. And we will open the floor for discussion. The traffic volume report is on the bottom there. I won't bother reading that into the record, and we'll just table that as part of the report. So, any comments or questions? Deputy Mayor.
The property is in Ward 6, the area that I do represent. I just wanted to check on the 48 letters that were mailed to 30 people. Were there any responses or any comments received? Nothing at all. And I just want for the record that I have not received any calls or emails or anything from anyone on the property. So I just wanted to check on that. Thanks.
Did you say 48 letters to 30 people or 30 residents?
30 property owners.
Right. Why they wouldn't balance out there?
More than one old PID number.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Or if there's two names. If there's two names on a property, each person gets a letter.
Oh, okay.
Councillor McFeely, the other thing, I think you mentioned the traffic part was listed below. There's also the heritage impact one that was there.
Oh,
Maybe
yes, my apologies.
Just reference it if you care to.
I meant to mention that attached to the meeting package was the heritage impact assessment on 197 Cambridge Street. I don't think I need to read it into the record. I think I'll read the conclusion. There have been a number of alterations made to the building over a number of years. The current owner intends to modify the interior of the building. There will be no change to the exterior of the building or the building footprint. Therefore, staff have determined there is no potential impact on heritage resources. So I think we're fine there. Any other questions or comments before we call the question? If not, I'll read the recommendation into the record. It was moved by Councillor Adams, seconded by Councillor Ramsey. The application received from Andrew and Claire Carr for PID number 315267 to amend the zoning bylaw from medium density residential R3 zone to high density residential R4 zone be recommended to be approved by council. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Contrary? The motion carried unanimously, so that will go to council for a final vote at our regular July meeting, which is at noon hour on the 18th? Yeah, I explained that up front there, yeah. Yeah, so just for July 18th, yeah. So as I said at the onset, the only planning board would be voting at this particular meeting. All council will vote on the recommendation and at the July 19th? 18th, July 18th, 12 noon meeting. Okay. No problem. So our next item on planning board agenda is
Thank you.
bye-bye, is a hand cart license application from Donnie Heckner. And I'll read this into the record, the supporting explanation. The purpose of the application is to allow a hand cart Cotton Candy King to operate at the Queen Elizabeth Park during summer months, weather permitting, and permission to operate on city property. Background: the applicant, Donnie Heckner, and his parent, Kirk Heckner, is here as well, is proposing to operate his cotton candy hand cart, that's a mouthful, on weekends at Queen Elizabeth Park. Hand cart means a push cart or pedal-powered cart where all of the goods offered for sale are contained entirely within the cart and consist primarily of food and beverages. So the report under Section 11, City of Summerside Licensing Bylaw, CS-21, the bylaw states the following. Hand cart license. 11.1. Any person or company seeking a license to operate a hand cart in the city shall make application therefore to council. 11.2. Council shall allow or refuse the application based on considerations of safety, desirability, impact on established businesses in the city, public convenience, and such other considerations as it deems appropriate. 11.3. Council may attach terms and conditions to the approval of a license, if granted, including but not limited to hours and days of operation, health code requirements, litter control, approved locations. 11.4. If the initial license application has been approved by council, it may be automatically renewed in subsequent years, provided that the terms and conditions of the original approval are adhered to and the annual fee is paid, if a fee is applicable. 11.5. No appeal shall lie from a decision of council respecting a hand cart license. So staff comment. Number 1, Donnie Heckner will be required to obtain permission from the City of Summerside to operate his hand cart at Queen Elizabeth Park. The development officer, Linda Stevenson, reached out to Community Services Director J.P. DeRoche, and J.P. confirmed there was no issue with the hand cart being set up at Queen Elizabeth Park. The Heckners have contacted the Summerside Area Baseball Association, Tanny Durand, to ensure there would be no conflict with Saba canteen services. So staff review. City staff support the application of a hand cart license from Donnie Heckner to operate his hand cart at Queen Elizabeth Park in Summerside. As per Section 5.10, subsection B3 of the zoning bylaw, the planning board shall make a recommendation to council on this application before it is approved or denied. The planning board recommendation, whether carried or defeated, will be brought forward to council for a final approval. So the planning board recommendation, the application received from Donnie Heckner to operate a hand cart Cotton Candy King at Queen Elizabeth Park, property owned by the City of Summerside, be recommended to be approved by council. And we will ask for a mover and a seconder, and it's moved by Councillor Ramsey and seconded by Councillor Adams. And I guess just we would open the floor for discussion. But I know Donnie and his parents are here, or his father is here, I think, and we would welcome Donnie, and certainly not only welcome, but it's inspiring to to see a young entrepreneur have an interest in doing something at Queen Elizabeth Park. So congratulations to you for stepping up and doing your own thing and becoming a young entrepreneur. I think that's absolutely wonderful. So,
Yes.
any other?
Just a quick question. I think you had mentioned in your report, approval for, will the approval be for a certain name? And when it comes for approval another year, what if the name's changed? Is it an automatic, or does it, if the business sold or not somebody else wanted it, does it have to come back to council for renewal? It's just not quite clear there.
I think the direction we're given, if it came back the same, so if there's gonna be a different owner, we would bring it back. If it's gonna be,
Okay.
we were just advised through the CEO that direction was given to, in the interim while the bylaw was being revised, to proceed with renewals if they were the exact same, or if they were the same and had no issues the previous year.
Thank you. Good.
Councillor Snow.
Nothing, no questions, just a comment, and you already alluded to it, Councillor McFeely. It's impressive to see a young man here and wanting to open a business in our city. If this is any indication, I think we're in good hands for the future for entrepreneurs in the city when they're coming this young. To his dad, you're doing a great job, obviously, to, going through this process and figuring out how to open a business and come to city council and present, and I just find it very impressive. So as somebody that works with youth and families, I congratulate the whole family on going through this process.
Thank you. And if I just add this, back a number of years ago, I remember a local entrepreneur started out with a hot dog stand, the same way, Duke Cormier. And now he has a lot of businesses, but that's what he started out with, around the parks or someplace. And anyway, it worked out well for him, and so we say congratulations and good luck. And we may even sample it over the summer.
Deputy Mayor.
Well, Donovan Donnie, the Cotton Candy King, congratulations. So is it the younger brother or the older brother? Oh, so you have a trainee with you, right? Congratulations.
When do you start? When are you going to open up?
He's got all the paperwork with him there. Okay. Seeing no other lights, we're ready for the vote. So I'll read the recommendation to the record again. The application received from Donnie Heckner to operate a hand cart, Cotton Candy King, at Queen Elizabeth Park, property owned by the City of Summerside, be recommended to be approved by council. Moved by Councillor Ramsey, seconded by Councillor Adams. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Contrary?
Unanimous.
Motion carries. So that'll go to the July 18th noon meeting as well for final approval.
Is there any way we can
Yeah.
speed this along? Could we call a special council meeting after this quickly? And
Well, we have a special council meeting tonight, do we not?
is there any possibility we could add it to the agenda and
Rather than hold
Unless
them up
there's-
for 2 weeks.
I don't see why we couldn't if we, I guess, I mean, the resolution be fairly simple resolution, so.
Just on
Yeah.
a technicality, maybe Aaron or somebody would know, but
would there be any?
we can call a special meeting, but it wouldn't be classed as an emergency meeting, but I'm just wondering the provisions on the Municipal Government Act, if we can process it tonight so they won't have to wait for the 2 weeks.
You already have a meeting called. It's not like you're calling a special meeting already. There is a meeting called for on the agenda.
Yeah.
Oh, tonight? Oh, I thought that was just
We
committee of the
we
whole.
have a special council meeting tonight
Sorry.
with one resolution, so we could add a second resolution.
Good. Great. Getting a couple of weeks extra work there for you. Yeah, once this is approved, it's approved right now, sort of thing, so. Okay, so that'll be coming back up in a few minutes. So you're welcome to wait.
Do you need a board of directors?
What about taste testers?
Yeah. you have anything further at this point, Councillor McFeely?
We do have two more items, I believe, on, get back to my agenda here for planning board. Yeah, a couple of things,
Group home?
yeah, and these next two things really came out of the application that people will recall around Water Street East and the group home application, group home / halfway house application, and maybe showed a little bit of a gap, I think, in our bylaw around the definition of group home in there, and I don't think anybody foreseen you know, the concept of you know, halfway house, that type of thing, and that definition of group home that got advertised at that time. It was done properly within our bylaw because there was no other option within the bylaw. So I just wonder about, you know, some minor amendments to the bylaw there to expand that definition of group home to include things like halfway houses and whatever other things may be there, so that when advertisements go out, it's really clear what's being proposed here. I think there was definitely a lot of confusion there, and I think people thought we were trying to slide something under the rug by calling it a group home, and certainly those are the kinds of accusations I got at the time from people, and that was never the intention, as we all know. And it was, the bylaw restricted how it could be advertised. So I don't know what we need to do to, you know, to affect those changes. Maybe just ask tech services to take a look at that and bring back a recommendation for an amendment to that. I don't think we need to send it to the policy and bylaw or the review committee for that. So I think it's just general agreement that we give direction to tech services to take a look at that definition there, and if there are other definitions in there that maybe need some refinement as well, and bring back a recommendation to council. I think if council all agrees to that, I think we're good. And Councillor Snow?
I just clarify that you're saying, or you're thinking that we could have the group home with the explanation, further explanation to it? What falls
Well,
under that?
I think I would leave the tech service to take a look at it, and then whether it's a separate, you know, whether we expand the group home, halfway houses, or whatever, and there may be others that we're not thinking about there too. So,
Thanks.
yeah. So number 5 there, if folks are agreeing to that, and there's consensus, and that okay, so we're good. And perhaps, I don't know if time-wise, whether that could come back to the committee meeting in September, is that, or August, is that a fair amount of time?
I think we can. I don't know if there's, we'll do our best. I don't know if
Yeah.
there's an urgency. I don't think we'll expect another definition or application for that one, but yes.
No, there's no urgency, but it would be nice to get it done up and tidied up before this council
Oh, yes, yeah.
term, yeah.
I think, Mr. Chairman, if I could just ask the question, in regards to the one that brought this on, that parole house request, I think the appeal period has gone by.
Appeal period has gone by, and it's my understanding that there's been nothing received, and I think it was last Thursday maybe, or Wednesday, 28th, that would have been Tuesday, yeah. And we've not heard anything from IRAC to my knowledge, so I believe the period's gone by.
Just a question, if somebody did appeal it, how quickly are we notified by IRAC?
Usually fairly quickly that there's an application or a request has come in.
Well, when I say fairly quickly though.
Within a week or so, within a week or so, we typically
So are we
have
still
them.
within that time, or is that passes?
I talked to Gordon
It's a
about
week
that.
today with a holiday in there, but I don't.
Yeah, I talked to Gordon about that last week, and because I was getting calls on the 28th and 29th from residents wanting to know if there was any appeals received, and he kind of indicated to me that, you know, that happens very, very quickly. If IRAC gets the appeal, he would get a call very quickly.
Just a question on that, through you, Mr. Chairman. The 21-day appeal period, if there is a holiday within those 21 days, is that classed as one of the 21 days? It is? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and there was no holiday in this case.
Oh. 21 calendar days, okay.
Yeah.
That's clear.
Okay, so we have some direction there. We maybe try to just get that tidied up a little bit. And then the other thing that was raised in that exercise, and I know it's been raised before, I know Councillor Snow has raised it on at least one occasion, and with the rezoning in his area there as well, and perhaps others, is that notification area. And it just seems that, like in the one we just did, like, was it 45 letters went out, like, in this particular case on Bay Avenue, which would be very close to where this was being proposed, very few people up there would have been in that notification area. So you know, and it's one of those things, like, where do you end it? And if you do it by feet or by meters or whatever, and you get, like, you have Water Street in there, it's not that many houses, and I forget, I think there was 17 or 18 in that particular case. Some were businesses next door, and then, but with Water Street, there are very few people on the other side of Water Street where they got notification. So I don't, and I know, Councillor Snow, you've had similar frustration with this in dealing with people. So you know, I don't know, you know, like, where do you end if you change it to, you know, add another, you know, 100 on or something, then you get people outside of that saying, well, I wasn't notified, so I don't know where it ends, or how you draw the line, or is it, you know, is meters and feet the best way to do it, or is it, you know?
So what is the
So-
number now?
Well, it's 30 for a variance and 60 for it's a rezoning or an OP amendment.
Yeah, and that would be the case, I think, in most municipalities.
I guess just to clarify, we'll use that one for example. The Planning Act calls for no letter notification. So that what the city does is beyond the Planning Act by doing this notification process. And if people felt they never got a letter, you knew by the crowd that was here, the purpose of the notification was actually to notify people, make them aware of the issue through the paper and whatever social media means we use. That was done. Some people got a letter, but a lot of people heard about it. So the intent of the process is to notify people that this is potentially going to happen or being considered.
So,
Corey,
the very first meeting we had with regards to the group home,
there was
there
nobody
was
here.
2 people here. And I think it was after the fallout from that meeting and the media coverage that then we had the public notification. I agree 110% with Brian that I don't know where you draw the line, because there's always going to be someone outside that. I'll use this one particular. I thought and I believe that was a city-wide application, given the needs, and I don't know how we do that, and I don't know what other municipalities do, but I do feel that that application affected everybody within our municipality and in some way, shape, or form. And I don't know if we can publicly notify everybody by letter, but I
we
just
are,
feel.
though, I guess that's what we're saying, is that we're not notifying everybody by letter, but by going widespread in the paper or social media, it's not just limited to the people that are getting a letter. Everybody in the city or the community can see it if they follow the local activities, or, you know.
Right.
So by doing that way, you're not just targeting, and that's, I think, what the Planning Act is like. It's not just targeting the few people that are close. If I happen to own the properties around, nobody gets really notified outside of that. The Planning Act is just saying, put it in the public means of, I forget what the wording says in the Planning Act, but it's basically provide public notification for the local media source or newspaper. You know,
No.
we've expanded beyond the newspaper, but that's what they require to make sure it's not just limited. Entire regions get notified of it.
Yeah,
So
I
that's,
I
not
just
saying
think.
it's covered or 100% foolproof or,
Yeah, no, just in closing, I just think it's worth a look to see if there's something other municipalities, other jurisdictions are doing that maybe we're not, that can better reach people, because that was a very good example of our current way of doing business does not work in regards to that, I feel, or it appeared to be that way.
I think where it got off
I-
the rails there, sorry, was classed as a
Group home.
a group home.
Yeah, that was part of the issue
And
there.
that was just what I was gonna say. The first problem, if we fix the first issue, which we had talked about, I think the second issue will not be an issue. I don't know, I think we addressed the first one, get that definition, and I think the other one will look after itself. If we clarify group home versus whatever. Anyway, just my thought.
Yeah, if you, and as I said before, if you move it to 70 meters or 80 meters, the person that's the 81 meters is going to say, yeah. I think the other issue here, though, is the advertising of it. I mean, the Journal only runs once a week. A lot of people don't bother getting it anymore because it only runs once a week, and a lot of people read this stuff online now, and you don't even see the ads online. So I don't know if we can. And then we have our social media, the city's social media stuff that I think we depend on too much, because there's a pile of people that don't do the social media thing. But so I don't know how you get it out there in today's multimedia world, but I think something's lacking there, because I don't think, like, how many, did we just put the one ad in the Guardian?
Yeah, so we put one ad in the Guardian,
Yeah,
and we put that ad in usually 7 to 10 days before the
Yeah.
actual public meeting.
yeah, and then,
And we've heard the same thing. Well, I don't get the paper, and then if we say, well, yes, it's also on social media, we get, well, I don't have a computer, or I
yeah,
don't.
so I don't know how you deal with that, and whether there's other mediums out there that we're not taking advantage of, I don't know. But so I think what I'm hearing is just to move this along, is that perhaps we can take a look at it. I think the issue of moving it from 60 to 80 or 100 is probably not the solution here. It may be more around how we advertise. I'm sorry, Justin.
It's okay. No, that's what Justin said.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, there's obviously a fine line between feeding people information, pushing it to them, and having them kind of seek it out themselves, but I was just kind of wondering, we have the notification system that people can sign up for when there's power outages. I wonder if we could explore a similar type. I mean, email is pretty much universal now. If there's something that people could maybe sign up for as far as city notices go via email, I mean, that's probably the limit, what we're gonna do, short of, mailing everybody letters, but I was wondering if we could have something set up like that, and we could let people know about that option, maybe through their utility bills once, and they can see, they'll be able to sign up for email notices from the city. I wonder if that might be something that we might be able to explore, maybe through IT or another appropriate department, but it seems like it works through for power outages, so I wonder if maybe we could kind of expand that program to just include general city notices to go out through email as well. Just throw that out there. And it could include rezonings and
Good thought.
anything.
Good thought.
idea, yeah. And I just have something very quickly to say, and I agree with if the first issue is fixed, then I don't know that we're gonna have so much problem with the meters, the amount of meters where we send because if we sent letters out to people within 2 miles of the area and say it's a group home, guess what? We're not gonna get anybody in. Those people that came in that night just came in to find out what the group home was. That's the only reason they came. They had no idea. So, I don't think the system's broken. I think that, there are a few little glitches we could probably look at. But anyway, that's just my
When
And
I'm
even
hearing-
take on it.
Sorry, and just even, obviously this sort of thing came up before this specific instance with whether it's, you know, rezoning
Yes.
from a lower R level to a higher one, and people just didn't seem to hit that threshold of 60 meters, and they really wish they would have. So although, yeah, maybe changing this group home definition will help for that, but certainly not if
Not
you're in the neighborhood and
R3s,
you know, there's an
R4.
apartment going up 61 meters away, and
Yeah.
you want to give your input on that, then, yeah, you need a way to
I
be in
think
the
you're
know.
suggesting, Councillor Durand, that people being able to sign up for email notifications is a good one, so.
Just,
Your worship.
well, I think it's been basically talked about here, but I think by being specified a parole house or whatever, you know, versus make it quite clear when it's advertised, and that probably will look after the problem. We know what the interest was as a result of the last one, so if it's advertised exactly what it's going to be, we'll know what the interest will be. So I think if you can get the wording out, if there's another request, that it goes out exactly what the request is for.
Okay,
That's
so
all I
we'll
have.
leave it then that they'll look at the definitions and the applications there. I think I'm hearing consensus that the notification area is probably okay, but maybe we need to look at how we're notifying people over and above the letters. And maybe we can ask the acting CAO to take that under advisement and just look, pass that on. We're kind of in transition here. We don't want it to get lost in things here. Councillor Snow.
Just, not to hash up old things, but how many were notified on the group home? In that 60 meters, how many were notified? Do you know?
18, 17, 18? It was 17 or 18.
Would that have been, Mr. Chairman, on our website as well?
Yeah.
So that's widespread.
But the concept that Councillor Durand's talking about, where people can sign up for city notifications, is I think worth exploring. I think it's a good one.
Just the fact that people, I think, really like to have things pushed to them rather than have to seek out. And I think that would probably be the limit of how we would be able to do that, short of mailing 15,000 letters every time there's a application come in.
So we'll leave that for our acting CAO to pass that on to whoever needs to be passed on to
Who's acting today?
implement that.
AP.
Acting today. Yeah. Councillor, we'll talk after. Yeah, okay, no problem.
Pretty good actor too.
Yeah. And that concludes the planning board agenda, your worship. So we'll ask for a motion for adjournment. That's moved by Councillor Adams, seconded by Councillor Ramsey.
Thank you.
We are adjourned.
Okay, we'll continue on. You have Police, Fire and Emergency Services. Councillor Ramsey.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and police, a couple of items on the agenda for police services. And I believe Councillor McDougall, welcome, Chief Poirier, welcome. I believe Councillor McDougall has both of these items on, one being a speed bump on Mackenzie Drive and the other one being Glen Drive. So I think what I'll do is just pass it over to Councillor McDougall.
You got it narrowed down to bumps now instead of humps.
Well, the word speed bump is on there, just, I guess it was just there for attention. Slow you down a little bit, I guess, make us think. The first one is Mackenzie Drive, and I've talked to a number of residents along there, and they're seeing an increase in speeding. So I went down and I talked with a few of them the other day, and there's definitely certain times when the speeding is happening, and one gentleman to talk to even seen people passing on the street. Now, there's a lot of traffic on that street. There's a lot of traffic caused from construction on Putter too, right? And I go in that street a couple of times a day, and you can.
You're not speeding.
I'm not speeding, but you can tell you can pretty well tell, you know, there's somebody right in your bumper there. If I wasn't there, they were gonna be over the speed limit. But anyway, the people that I talked to, yes, the first thing was to say a speed bump, and I always caution people about speed bump, because who wants it in front of their house, right? Especially if there's trucks going by and that. So they basically asked us to look at any kind of traffic calming that they can get on, and it's around the center part. It seems to be the biggest issue. So they're just asking for some help on slowing the traffic down there. Any traffic calming that we have, like I asked for the portable flashing speed sign, but apparently it's not working right now. But if we, you know, we could have some extra patrols or radars or what, I don't know, but I know that they brought the issue up with me, and so I'm bringing it here. I just need some help in some traffic calming. I don't know what it would be, whether it's speed bump, hump, or I'd rather have rumble strips myself, but whatever. And a flashing, you know, whether the flashing speed sign can be fixed or if they have one on order, I don't know. Just something to
No,
slow.
it's pretty well toast, the old one.
Okay.
Plan on putting another one in for the budget this year, but they're quite expensive. Like, you know, you're looking between $7,000 and $10,000
Yeah.
for a decent one. They come now with a portable trailer for, like,
Yeah.
to be hauled away. I'd certainly caution right now about a speed hump or bump, for a very fact, with construction going on, people are gonna be complaining more once the bump is installed, because them big trucks, you know, and they're coming both ways, they make one heck of a noise when they're going over these bumps, and there's only right now, I think, 2 vacant lots along that stretch of highway, that road, and they will soon be filled, I would assume, so I would caution about putting a speed bump right now. The rumble strip might be a better idea to be looked at. We have to get tech service involved in that as well, but tomorrow I'll put another notice out about the complaints still coming in with the speeders, so.
Okay, I appreciate
now.
that.
Just a question.
And-
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, sorry, Councillor, or Deputy Mayor McCollum was like on first.
Okay. Well, I just, I appreciate Chief Dave making that comment, like just being careful because of the construction, because.
As you know.
Yes, because in trying to advocate for one on Maple, which I thought, you know, the residents really wanted. Well, on the other flip side of that coin, there are residents, and we've had a number of meetings trying to work through that because of the noise and that sort of situation. And this resident has moved from another area, and one of the things that he had suggested is sometimes they will send out a letter to the residents of a specific area and look for a percentage of numbers that either A, want it or don't want it, so it gives them a guideline. And so I've learned that the hard way, trying to do it. It's just not a simple yes and no.
So they want
Thank
it
you,
or don't
Councilman
want it,
Coleman.
Depending, sorry, but they want it or don't want it because of speed or because of the noise. There's 2 reasons.
Well, I think
It's the
the noise, definitely the noise.
Yeah.
I think it's the noise of speeding up after getting off the hump or the bump. You know, people aren't appreciating that so much, Your Worship. Yep.
Also, Councillor, I mean, it's the empty trucks after they
Out there,
unload
yeah, with
that
the
makes
big
the most
trucks.
noise. The boxes are bouncing, and that's what they make the most noise. And they travel both ways, from Linklater Road and from Mackenzie Drive onto Potters.
Yeah. Okay. You done?
Yeah,
I just-
I'm done with that one.
Okay, and I just wanted to say that I also received calls on Mackenzie Drive, and I passed them on to Councillor Bruce, and the lady was very, very understanding, and she did say that police services were out there, and she really appreciated that. And one of the things I mentioned to her was that, you know, we'll mention it to you, police officers, and ask if maybe they could continue to just keep an eye out there until maybe the construction's done and we can figure something out.
Yeah, I'll put something out tomorrow again.
Thank you, thank you.
Councillor Ramsey, I just asked,
Oh, yeah.
were you ahead there, Bruce?
No, you go ahead.
Lights on there.
No, go ahead.
Okay, no, in regards to the one on Maple Avenue, what's the story on that one? Is it still gonna stay there? Because there were certainly were concerns on that.
We, CAO, Rob, and myself, and I did speak with Chief Dave, we had chatted about it. We did meet with the resident and just explain some of the reasons why. Basically, it's a temporary fix to see how it works over the summer. We explained about the safety concerns near Leger Park, those kinds of things, the splash pad. And it's being monitored, I believe, to see what will happen in the fall. And the resident was, very, very, received that information very fairly, respectfully. And again, as I say, we've learned the lesson that, there's some things like in other cities, municipalities, where letters are sent out to people in the neighborhood to really see, to get a very important gauge to know, do they want it, or is it because they see it in another neighborhood? And I think it was very valuable, very insightful of the gentleman. And he sent them information, and we have sent it on to municipal services.
But the information must have come in the first place for it to be there, because of speed.
It did come in, Your Worship, and people were very concerned about the safety of children running out from Leger Park and the speeding, that somebody was going to get hurt.
And they wanted a speed bump?
Yeah.
Speed bump, or did
They were asking for a speed bump, yes, to slow and calm the traffic.
So to send the letter out, we're gonna get the same information listed up there.
Well, I think that was a suggestion that came from the concerned residents. But what this resident a little bit further down on Maple has said is that because of the noise, it's also creating a lot of problems with the noise, and people are just as annoyed with that.
Right.
So that's where we're at.
Yeah,
I
they
think
can't
there was
do it.
another suggestion that maybe a three-way stop might help as well at the corner of Maple and Summer, I believe. So we haven't got a response yet from tech services on that.
Okay. Well, that's a good idea.
But, just in fairness, because I certainly want to say publicly, Chief Dave and Councillor Barb, I really respect the fact that you folks have really looked into it, checked and monitor and those sorts of things. But I think when we get pushback on things where people are really finding the other flip side of it just as much of an annoyance or a nuisance, then again, it really puts the department in a situation where they're back and forth, trying to appease and caught in the middle of a situation.
I did mention a three-way stop, but that poses a problem possibly too for vehicles having to stop and then take off again in a rush or making noise, especially bigger trucks. So I don't know if there's any easy solution.
Okay. Thank you, Chief Poirier and Deputy Mayor and Your Worship. And I think Bruce wants to continue on just a little bit on Glen Drive there, Bruce.
Yes, we had the Glen Drive on, and I had to leave the last meeting, and I appreciate putting these over to this meeting. I did meet with the gentleman on Glen Drive, and I see the issue, and it's basically traffic coming from the Linklater area into, and it's that corner. And so I spoke to Chief earlier this evening and today, and I think we can just leave this one because I'm going to have the chief out, and we can have a look at that corner, and I'll show him exactly what we're talking about. So this may be on for another meeting down the road, but I'd rather have the chief and someone else look at the corner so they understand where the people are coming from.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Yes, Deputy Mayor, sorry.
I know you're probably trying to wrap up and people have so many other commitments.
No, I just didn't see your light. I'm
no.
sorry.
But this isn't on the agenda, but it's just a question that I have because I've heard from about several residents around dog barking. And I usually suggest to them the PEI Humane Society, like the different steps that we take. But people are getting very frustrated. There's two in particular that I received about barking dogs in the yards with no supervision, and they're barking and barking. So I've just basically said I will certainly bring it up. And that's what I'm doing, because they just don't know what to do, and they're very frustrated. I have the messages. One is Councillor Barb's ward, and I'll make sure I forward it to you. Sure. Okay, thanks.
And we've dealt with several of those complaints in the last probably month or month and a half. And most of them are late at night, like between 10 and 12 or after that even. People will go out and leave their animals or leave their pets outside, and we respond to all those as well.
Okay, well, that's good to know. So,
Create some kind of an awareness. Like the one resident I talked to, the comments that were made was like they're left, but the owners are almost oblivious.
Yeah.
Like they don't pay attention. And she said, like, if you're a shift worker, if those kinds of things are happening and you're not getting your sleep, like it's very frustrating, you know?
Especially this time of the year, a lot of people will leave their windows open in their homes, and
Yeah.
the raccoon's unreal, so we have to deal with those too as well.
maybe the awareness could be some social media, maybe something from the city, something from police services going out and, and we could even maybe put an ad in the paper, like just something small to let folks know to be aware or, considerate of their neighbors. And, we could certainly do something like that. And I don't know, our acting CAO, if we could do something up to, that'd be okay? All right. So does that sound okay, Deputy Mayor? Is that okay? You're okay? We should do some. And Councillor Durant.
I just
Sorry.
put my light on. That'd be another example of where maybe an email could go out.
Right.
Just a city notice.
Or an email could come in. Yeah, but no, an email go out. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody. And thank you, Chief Poirier, for coming in and talking with us and helping us along. And that adjourned.
Okay,
Fire
we've
services.
gotten to the last of the police and fire and emergency services. And I guess we're ready to go in, our acting CEO.
I'm just curious if there's
Take
any
it away.
action items on the speed bump on Mackenzie. There was discussion and we got off topic to Maple, and then, so was there any actionable items that need to be noted or any direction for staff for Mackenzie?
Just that we were
I believe the chief was going to look at it, monitor tomorrow or something. I thought you said you were gonna mention it to whether it's the department or through. Yep.
But no speed bump.
I
No.
think until the construction is finished out there,
That's what
I think that's what you thought it would be a
Yeah.
good idea. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, we've gotten to the end of the committee meeting, so we'll call a special council meeting to order. Pardon? Yes, yeah. So we'll have to change gears there, get Kristen. We'll be calling the special council meeting to order now. And for the record, we have all councillors present, and our CAO, our acting, JP, and we have, she's got two handles tonight, Director of Finance and Controls. So we'll call a special meeting to order, and I believe there's a resolution or two. So whomever is the first one, the floor is yours. Deputy Mayor. This is
Mayor Basil, could I, before you start, could I have the floor for just a moment?
Go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to make people aware that the Lobster Carnival is opening today. The official opening is 2 days from now, but today is actually a new event added to the agenda, and that the Country Music Talent Contest will be starting tonight at 7 o'clock. And the finals, there's 20 contestants, and tomorrow night there will be 10 finalists, and at 7 o'clock tomorrow evening down at Credit Union Place. So everybody's welcome. Admission is $10 and $5 for children under 12. Hope to see y'all there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I plan to be there, not as an entertainer, but enjoy the music. Deputy Mayor, you're on the floor? Or did Councillor McPheely has one first?
Okay, this will be very, very brief, so we'll, as a result of the planning board meeting earlier this evening, we have a motion to bring forward, moved by myself, Councillor McPheely, seconded by Councillor Kerry Adams, that the recommendation from planning board for the application received from Donnie Heckner to operate a handcart cotton candy king at Queen Elizabeth Park, property owned by the city of Summerside, be recommended to be approved by council.
Moved by Councillor McFeely, second by Councillor Adams. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, nay. Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. So they will be notified. I guess they were pretty well notified before they left that it was going to happen. Thank you, Councillor McFeely. Deputy Mayor, you have
I do, Your Worship.
a
Very brief,
resolution?
just by way of a little, very short background on the financial resolution. The city has recently completed its annual auditing of the city of Summerside and all of the necessary assessments by an independent local professional accounting firm. Those completed financial statements have been presented to Mayor and Council by the public auditors just last week. And tonight I will be presenting the resolution for council for these documents of the city to be formalized. And just as a note to residents or anyone following, the statements will be on the website, but not this evening. Like, it'll take a bit of time to get them up on the website, so people can watch for that. So,
Go
if
ahead.
we're ready for the resolution, Resolution COS 22099, moved by myself, Deputy Mayor Norma McColman, seconded by Vice Chair Councillor Brian McFeely. Be it resolved that City Council approve the 21-22 audited financial statements.
Moved by Councillor McColman, or Deputy Mayor McColman, and seconded by Councillor McFeely. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, nay. Carried.
Thanks, everybody.
So, that's the end of the council meeting. I believe there's an item for the committee of the whole. So we'll take a couple of minutes adjournment here. We'll give our Director of Finance a second to get us on connect.